कोटि कोटि वंदन, कोटि कोटि वंदन, कोटि कोटि वंदन, हमारा कोटि कोटि वंदन। भक्त कवि नरसिंह मेहता यूनिवर्सिटी, भक्त कवि नरसिंह मेहता यूनिवर्सिटी।
Namaskar, good evening. Department of Commerce and Management, Bhakt Kavi Narsinh Mehta University, Junagadh has organized this Adept Talk number 16 to explore HRM in the era of globalization and its heterogeneous attribute in the organization, society and country. I am Vinit Varma from Department of Commerce and Management, Bhakt Kavi Narsinh Mehta University, Junagadh. Let me take this opportunity to welcome to our expert, Dr. Prakash Singh, Sir, Assistant Professor, School of Applied Management, Punjabi University, Patiala, Punjab. Our Head of Department, Dr. Bhavsinh Dodia, Sir, Department of Commerce and Management, Bhakta Narsing Mehta University, Junagadh. All the viewers who are watching live from our YouTube channel, teachers, professors, researchers, and student, AC member, principals, and all the stakeholders of the university. Now, we know HRM ensures the seamless and effective application of the policy and procedures in the business and the organization. HRM, these are to keep balance between employees' needs and satisfaction and the organization's profitability capability to reach its objective. Now, without wasting any time, let me begin our Adept Talk series. Now, I would like to request to our head, Dr. Dodia sir, to welcome our expert, Dr. Prakash Singh sir. Dodia sir.
Good afternoon to all. On behalf of the Department of Commerce and Management, Bhakta Kavi Narsinh Mehta University, Junagadh, and you all are heartily welcome to this university. And from now onwards, you will be a part of this family, and you all have to raise the name of this university like others do. The Department of Commerce and Management has organized Adept Talk series. Today, I warmly welcome our Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Professor Dr. Chetan Trivedi sir, and I also welcome EC members, principals, professors, and research scholars, and my faculty members and my students. I also welcome who are watching through YouTube, Facebook also. I also warmly welcome today's series Adept Talk eminent expert and my friends Dr. Prakash Singh, Assistant Professor, University School of Applied Management, Punjabi University, Patiala. Adept Talk is designed to improve the knowledge in the field of commerce and management. 21st century is the century of knowledge, and the aim of the department is to give quality education to our valuable assets to our students. Kindly join with us. It's a journey of knowledge. Let's share the knowledge and build new India. I feel happy to inform you that Bhakta Kavi Narsinh Mehta University may be the first university who started this series for commerce, management, finance, banking, marketing, accounting, and general management topics. Prakash Singh is presently working as a assistant professor, University School of Applied Management, Punjabi University, Patiala. He has 18-year experience. His area of the research is human resource management, organizational behavior, principles and practice of management. More than 7 years of the teaching to undergraduate and postgraduate students at the Department of Mathematics, Punjab University also, in the areas of the general management, HR, marketing, consumer behavior, and strategic management. He has published a book as well as various research papers and has presented and participated in conferences, seminar, and workshop also. He served as a lifetime members in various associations. Okay, so this is the big topics for the today's. This is very challenges because the team must work across different cultures. These national cultures and practice are always stronger than the corporate cultures also. The business needs to encourage employees as well as diversity, but should also highlight the leading national cultures. But globalization has various reasons blurred international boundaries. On one hand, there is an open market for the companies to seek talent. On the other hand, for the employees, a wide arrays of choice of the working with all the globalization. Okay, so we have to request for the now. I welcome today's eminent expert, Dr. Prakash Singh, to deliver his expert speech, topic of HRM in the era of the globalization. So please, sir, Prakash Singh.
Sir, thank you very much, Professor Dodia sahab. I am very thankful to you. You provide this opportunity to share my knowledge with your students and other faculty members. So first of all, very good afternoon to Professor Chetan Trivedi, sir, Honorable Vice-Chancellor, and very good afternoon to Dr. Dodia, Dr. Vinit Varma, sir, Dr. Gohil, Madam, and Dr. Dinesh Chavda, sir. So, and good afternoon to everybody who are here to listen me and to watch this video, and everybody who has joined this event, right? So, I am glad to hear, and I will try my best to explore the different dimensions of globalization and how it is impacting the human resource, right? So thanks a lot, Professor Dodia and other faculty members and dignitaries of the esteemed university, right, sir? So, sir, am I properly audible and visible to you?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
sir. Okay, sir. So, should I share my PPT with you?
Sure, sure, sir. Sure.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Sir, is it visible to you properly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, sir. And I am audible to you properly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, right, sir. So, should I start?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Okay. So, sir, nowadays, this is the era of globalization. As other subjects, we have to know how globalization is impacting human resource nowadays, right? Because human resource is the most important resource, whatever right now in the form of industry, in the form of productivity, whatever we are doing, and even in academics, there is a need to understand how globalization is impacting the human resource, right? Uh, Myself is Dr. Prakash Singh. I am assistant professor here in Punjabi University, Patiala, University School of Applied Management, right? And first of all, I would like to tell about human resource. Human resource, like other resources, human resource is most important and crucial resource, because when we talk about other resources, then other resources are somehow fixed, right? And they are not in the living form, right? And human resource in living form. So that is why it influenced by other things, right? And many times psychologically we feel, whenever we feel comfortable, we give our best productivity. Whenever we feel uncomfortable, and we are not able to give our best potential, right? So first of all, human resource management, any organization made up of people cannot run without them, right? So all the resources, machinery, man, money, material, collected and coordinated and utilized through people to attain common objectives of the organization. So in all resources, we see people, that is human resource, that is most important and crucial resource of any organization. So this is definition given by Filippo, and they very intelligently include all the management functions associated with the human resource, right? So human resource management is the planning, organizing, directing, controlling, procurement, development, and compensation, integration, maintenance, and separation of human sources, right? So that is all whatever we are doing regarding manpower or regarding human source, that is the part of the HRM, human resource management, right? So in earlier, what was the role of HR, and what was the HR earlier, and what is the HR in present role, right? And how we can differentiate the past HR and present HR. There is a very nice difference. We can understand traditional HR functions and emerging HR practices. So earlier administrative focus, we have a focus on administration. There is a one man show. There is a one person who is trying to control all the things whatever is happening in the organization. But right now all the things are focused on strategically. There is the specialization and the things are divided. You are responsible for this one, right? And earlier reactive, we see the HR as reactive. Something happened wrong, then we are trying to fix it, right? But nowadays we think there should not be any wrong, right? And Japanese, they are currently adopting the approach no error method. We should be concerned and we should be prepared, and we should not create the error, right? Separate and isolated from company mission. Earlier we have a separate isolated from company mission, means we are not concerned with the objectives and missions of the company. And being a HR administrator, we are thinking just my role is to control the human source whatever is here in the form of attendance and salaries only. But nowadays key part of the organization mission, when we are going to calculate the HR and we are going to know our organization's HR, we should be concerned and we should correlate all the organization's objectives and missions. So that is why everybody can understand I am the part of organization, and being a part of organization, I should know the clear cut objectives and missions of the organization, because we all are working for the common objective. And production focus, earlier we have the different type of focus, just we are concerned about the productivity, and now we are also concerned with the productivity as well as the service focus. And even whatever productivity we are creating, is it satisfactory as well as with the satisfaction of the customers, or not satisfied, or our customers are not satisfied. So we can understand now it is service focused era where HR we cannot ignore, right? And functional organization with vertical lines of authority. Earlier we are using this type of approach for line of authority, but nowadays process based organization, generalists with the horizontal responsibility, corporate term of specialists. And earlier we adopt the people as expand. We think if we will have more peoples or more human source in our organization, that will be more expensive. But nowadays people as investment, means we are knowing now this is the time where specialized human source are needed to compete with the other competitors in the market, right? So this is the a few difference we can understand. Earlier we have a different type of HR function, but nowadays we have the different HR function, right? Earlier components, when we talk about the base, when we talk about the base, old and new compensation, this is the base, is the base. On the basis of base we can see okay, what was the difference. Earlier we think about bases, means the minimum basis, living wages, and fair basis. But nowadays it is not like earlier. We think about, we have a clear cut guidelines regarding basic salary, how much HRA you will get, what will be the medical allowances, and what will be the medical employees provident fund, you will what PF will be deducted from your salary, and what will be the contribution of the government, right? So and employees state insurance, they are also concerned, employees are insured or not insured. So that is why government have very clear cut guidelines about all these things, right? So we have different type of scenario earlier and right in present time, right? So it is just happening because of the globalization and other upliftment and innovations in HR field, right? So we realize through this one, there is a difference between earlier terms and conditions of HR and present terms and conditions of HR. So first we should know little about the globalization. We are saying HRM in the era of globalization. So basically globalization come from, and who coined this first time? So Charles Taze Russell, who coined this term in the form of corporate giants in 1897 first time. That was an American entrepreneur. So basically, globalization characterized by boundaryless environment. We have the physical boundaries of the country, but ultimately, when we talk about the current business scenario, we can understand in the form of multinational and multinational companies and corporations, in the form of international companies. We can see they are operating and conducting their operations throughout the globe. So boundaryless environment, one is characterized by the this is one important characteristic of globalization. Another one is cross border transactions, right? Cross border transactions of goods and services, and integration of business activities, because nowadays we can see ICT, internet and communication technology, as well as the internet facilities. These two things are giving big push up to the globalization, ICT and internet, right? So integration of business activities is so easy and comfortable with ICT and internet. We can see earlier that was starting of online trading companies. We always think if we will pay it online, then either they will supply or not supply the product. But nowadays everybody knows about Amazon, about Flipkart, Jobong, and everybody knows if we are transferring some money, then we know we will get our product through delivery of the particular platform like Amazon and Flipkart, right? So integration of business activities is so easy nowadays through ICT and internet, right? So capacity, another characteristic of globalization is world as one market. Earlier we are thinking locally, but right now the globalization give a big platform to us, and we are treating the whole world as a one market, and we can supply our product and other things throughout the globe, right? So this is few characteristics that we can understand how globalization is connecting, and how globalization is breaking the boundaries. That is why we can do business throughout the globe, right? So these are the few important drivers of the globalization that we can understand. Through these drivers, we are going globally, right? So these drivers are technological drivers. Technological drivers, many times, if we, being a big giant or being a MNC, we have the technological competence with us, and at the same time, to utilize our technical competence, we move to the countries where we have the cheap labor, and cheap labor, as well as uh, we have the cheap raw material also. So we can utilize our competence in particular in any technology, or then we can move from we can move from one nation to another nation. And for example of this technological drivers, we can understand through the FDI, foreign direct investment, right? FDI is just one type of expertise of the companies and MNCs. They are very uh, very expert in a particular technology. They are utilizing their technology and moving other countries of the world, right? Political drivers, when the political leaders of particular companies, they are realizing, if we will make the treaties, if we will make the cross border joint hand, or we can, if we can interact each other and we can associate each other in business concern, then we can explore the business opportunities, more business opportunities, right? So they are called as political drivers, means they are concerned and they are doing efforts at political level, right? Then market drivers in globalization, we are interconnecting the markets. There are interconnecting the markets. So that is why we feel whole globe is one market. Whole globe is one market. And if I have produced some services or some product, we can supply it throughout the globe, not within the boundaries of local country or local state or local market, right? Cost drivers, obviously we have the cost opportunities. If we can move at a place where we have a cheap labor and cheap raw material, then obviously that is a cost cutting to our quality product. If it is possible, companies can use it very effectively, right? And competitive drivers tells us about you have a special feature with your product. You have a special feature with the qualities of your product, then that they are called as competitive drivers. You can move and you can compete in the markets where other one don't have the qualities and features like your product. So that is called as competitive drivers. So because of that feature, if you are moving and you have a specialty in particular product, then you can move to other places. So these are the five important drivers of the globalization, right? So globalization is linked with four major aspects. Through these drivers, what we are moving from one place to another place. So this is the one thing is we are moving because of the trade is the prime objective. And why we are doing trade? To generate the huge profits, so and to serve the people. This is the to serve the society. So we want to go for the trade. This is one major aspect. Another major aspect is capital movement. Capital movement, you in the form of FDI, we are moving from one nation to another nation. Then we are investing in the Asia. Suppose nowadays the European countries and America, they are continuously investing in Asian countries or African countries. They think labor and material is cheap, and we can, if we invest there, invest our capital there, then we can create more profits, right? Then movement of people, that is very important. Movement of people means we are talking about the manpower, movement of manpower or human resource throughout the globe. This is the scenario present time. Even at the time of recruitment, companies are well aware and well known. They know हमें लोग एक जगह से दूसरी जगह भेजने होंगे. If you being a human source, if you are comfortable with the culture, with the peoples of other nation, then if you will feel comfortable, they will hire you. Otherwise, because of language, because of culture, because of fooding habits, because of cloth bearing habits, or any other factor, or because of the religious factor, if you are feeling uncomfortable to move from one place to another place, then you are not fit for MNCs, and you are not fit for to move throughout the globe, right? So movement of people tells us the movement of human source, right? And it is in the present time of globalization, it is highly needed to be comfortable, and it is only possible when you are mentally prepared, right? So this is movement of human source. And spread of knowledge and technology. You have patents, you have abilities, you have developed your product and your technologies. So because of R&D, if whatever you have developed, you can take the advantages to share the knowledge and technology with others throughout the globe. So spread of knowledge and technology. So these are the four factors or aspects we can say they are closely linked with the globalization, right? So when we talk about the common features of globalization, what are the features which we realize about globalization? Basically, globalization tells free flow of human source, free flow of capital, free flow of services, and free flow of innovations. So human source, capital, services, and innovations. The free flow of all these four these four parameters or four resources, we can realize human resource is the most important resource. Why? Because we cannot utilize the other resources, capital, services, and innovations without human resource. So the expertise, comfortability to move throughout the globe, it is highly needed. Our human resource should be skilled, motivated, and should have the expertise in a particular field. So that is why they can move throughout the globe, right? So human resource, that we can realize, that is very critical and important resource in common features of globalization. How globalization impacting on HRM. So these are the few factors we can see. Managing cultural diversity. Cultural diversity, either you are Chinese, either you are Asian, or you are African, or you are European, you should feel comfortable with the multicultural diversity. So many times it may be possible. I know many organizations, they are running in Delhi, and they belong to the Japan, or they belong to the European countries, and Japanese and the Chinese and the Americans and many other ethnicity, very many other from many other peoples from different communities or from different continents, they are happily living there and enjoying their job. It is possible they have only capabilities to accept and to adopt the things there where they have adjusted themselves, right? So cultural diversity tells us, if there are cultural diversity, there should not be resistance to change, there should be acceptance to change. If we have an acceptance to change, we can easily adjust ourselves, we can easily fit ourselves through fit ourselves in any culture, right? So managing cultural diversity, managing expertise, and we have some values, belief system, culture, attitude, diverse in nature. So recruiting, retaining, and motivating expertise is a challenge. It is not easy task. So this is another impact on HRM. And difference in employment laws. Earlier, there is no standard employment laws, and in the form of employment laws, there is only Labor Act. But nowadays, we have lots of rules and regulations regarding insurance, regarding other living conditions, medical facilities, sanitation, work. Many facilities, they have rules and regulations at work station, as well as the education for children and other things, right? So we have lots of rules and regulations regarding employment law, in the form of employment laws, right? So this is also happening just because of the impact of globalization, because employees, they compare themselves with the others, right? So managing outsourcing of peoples in the form of BPO, business process organizations, and KPO, knowledge process organizations, right? So business process organizations, knowledge process organizations, nowadays you can realize lots of BPO and KPO, they are running here, but they are dealing with the different nations, and they are providing consultancy services. They are sitting here in Delhi, Gurgaon, or in Pune, right, or in Bangalore, but they are providing the services, consultancy services, and they are providing other services to the European nations or American nations, right? So managing outsourcing of the employees, and managing virtual employees, managing virtual employees, that tells us virtual employees means it is not always needed, or you should be physically there. If it is possible through virtually, then you can present yourself virtually, right? So managing virtual employees, it is also happening just because globalization impacting the HRM, right? Coping with flexible working hours, flexible working hours. Now you can see in last 2-3 years when pandemic COVID came in existence, right? So many IT sector companies, they have started their work from home facilities to their employees. So it is possible you can cope up with the working hours, and this is also happening because of the globalization, because we have new choice and alternatives available with the employment. Evaluation of more part-time and temporary work. Evolution of more part-time and temporary work tells us about part-time and temporary work. Earlier there was a concept, once you have employed, then you are a permanent employee, but nowadays the scenario has been changed. We have the different category of employment: part-time, temporary, or full-time. So it depends how you are, how a organization appointing you, then according to the appointment terms and conditions you will provide your services, right? Coping with emerging technologies. Earlier we have manual all the things, whatever organization have in the form of attendance or the in the form of salary calculations and other things. But nowadays the attendance techniques and the other things, they have totally changed just because of the innovations in the form of technology. Now we have the retina detection devices, we have finger detecting devices, and through the fingers or retina detecting devices we can easily mark the attendance, and there is no chance to miss or to make some cheat, right? So these are the new emerging technologies. So it is also happening because of the globalization, right? Because the technologies are developing, and with the technologies we are being aware and we are knowing about the technology. That is why we are going to adopt them, right? So this is also happening very drastically in the employment field, and changing perspective from subordinate to business. Changing perspective from subordinates to business. Changing perspective tells us, earlier we have a definition, management is the art of getting things, but now it is totally changed. Management is the art of getting things with the people, through the people. Earlier we are saying management is the art of getting things through the people, but now if you want to get the best potential of your employees, then you should be confident to get their best. It is only possible if your employee is satisfied with your behavior, and they should feel you are a part of team. So team spirit and the motivation level should be high, and it is only possible when you are psychologically satisfying your employee. You are a part of organization, and we both are working for the common goals. So this is also happening, and these were few impact which I explained to you, okay, how globalization is impacting HRM, right? So now we can see globalization and HRM. uh, I told you the term about HRM, and I told you about globalization, and I told how globalization is impacting HRM, right? So we should, there is a need to understand the relationship between globalization and HRM, right? So in 21st century, globalization has great meaning. In 21st century, globalization has great meaning. It deeply impacted the different fields of study, and HR is one of them. It is not only the field of study, but practically HR is a field where the globalization is impacting, right? So study is one aspect, and in practically globalization is impacting in practices in the field of HR. This is another aspect of the HR, right? And introducing of new technology. Introducing new technologies means innovations. Whatever is happening in the field of HRM, we are going to adopt them, right? So introduction of new technology, and greater focus. Earlier we have a lesser focus on work. uh, workforce, but right now we have the greater focus on workforce in the form of strategies, in the form of policies, or in the form of the competitive advantages. Modern globalization, modern globalization now, few of you are thinking what is the meaning of modern globalization and what is the earlier globalization. It means it, this raise one another question. If it is modern globalization, then earlier one was the old globalization. No, actually, modern globalization tells us about the present terms and conditions and other things, whatever is happening in the form of globalization. Earlier, when we talk, now we are saying because of the movement of technology, capital, movement of manpower, we are saying this is we are treating whole globe as a small market. So that is why we are saying this is the era of globalization right now, because frequently the resources are moving from here to there, right? But when we talked about that time when the older India, then we said that was the time when the Silk Route from China to European countries, when the spice trade from South India to Arabian countries and to European countries also. So earlier also there was the movement of the product and services from one place to another place in the form from one continent to another continent. That was that was not a globalization. That was also one form of globalization, but the technology and the innovations was not there. Internet was not there, and ICT was not there. So movement of raw material, movement of product and services also exist there in that time. And even we give the example of East India Company. They came here and slowly they make a hold throughout the India. They came here in the form of traders. Never forget it. So that is why we cannot ignore and avoid this term. Earlier, we are also doing the trade and we are doing business from one continent to another continent, but there was no facility of the computers and internet and communication technologies and internet. So the movement of data and information was not so easy that time, right? So this was one thing. But in present time, this is era of globalization. Here we have a great facility of ICT innovations, technologies, and we have frequent movement of data and other things, right? So modern globalization is the result of planning by politicians. Politicians means the heads of the country. They are thinking, if we will interlink and we will integrate the markets, then we can explore the more dimensions of the business. One thing. Another thing, international institutions. There are many international institutions. They are continuously working for the for integrating the market throughout the globe, right? And ICT and internet plays very important vital role in the era of globalization. And globalization gives faster growth, higher living standards, and new opportunities. So this is the new, we can say, the modern globalization, right? Several international institutions. There are many international institutions. They are continuously working for the globalization, and they are continuously working for interacting the they are integrating the markets throughout the globe, right? So the World Bank, International Monetary Funds, IMF, World Trade Organization, and North American Free Trade Agreements, European Union, Association of Southeast Asian Nation, ASEAN, Economic Community of East Asian States, ECOWAS, and World Bank. So these are the few international institutions or international bodies we can understand. They are continuously working to integrate the markets and to associate the different business bodies, business organizations, right? They are creating the platforms. They are providing funds also, right? So we can understand they are the several institutions. They are continuously working for globalization, right? World's most globalized countries, those countries who are continuously working with the globalization, and they are establishing their units throughout the globe in the form of FDI. right? So Netherlands, Belgium, Austria, Sweden, United Kingdom, and USA. These are the few important countries. They are continuously trying to move from one nation to another nation, right? And nowadays, Japanese and Chinese, they are also doing their best efforts, right, to establish their MNCs in different countries. So these are the world's most globalized countries. Then top challenges of HR functions during globalization. So these are the few challenges. These are the few challenges, and they are occurring just because of the globalization. Coordinating activities in many different locations. If we have more than one location, then to coordinate them, that is a big challenge, not a easy task, because we are doing operations in different cultures and different countries, right? And competitive environment gives a big creates a big challenge. Already there are few important players, they are playing very importantly in their field, right? So if we want to play with them, then we should have something more than that. Means the product, and on the parameters of quality, on the parameters of price, we should prove ourselves excellent, then we can compete with them. Because R&D and the other parameters, they are impacting the day by day competitive environment. If we cannot update and upgrade ourselves in the form of technology or in the form of other things, then it is not possible to survive in the market. We can see there was a time of Nokia phone, but nowadays you see we have a markets and use markets in the form of smartphone, right? But Nokia is not there. And earlier we know on only and only about the form for the mobile phone means the Nokia, right? But there is no Nokia, because they are not somehow able to cope up with the competitive environment of the markets. So competitive environment is globally competitive environment is also a big challenge. And global awareness, if we are not globally aware and we are not able to manage the human source, we are not able to manage our human source globally, and our human source is not competent to face the scenario, right? Then that is also a big issue and big challenge. And multicultural HR team is, if we are doing international operations or we are the part of MNC, then obviously there should be multicultural HR team. So creating a multicultural HR team is a big challenge in present time of globalization. If we are not able to do so, then obviously we will face the negative consequences. So these are the few important challenges in the form of coordinating activities, in the form of competitive environment, in the form of global awareness, or in the form of multicultural HR team. These are the few HR functions and HR operations: workplace culture, motivation, incentives, recruitment, retention, job description, contracts of the employment, absenteeism, disciplinary procedures, health and safety in workplace, and grievance procedures. And these issues are not coming locally. If we are the part of international operations or we are part of the MNC, then these are the issues which we are facing throughout the globe. So are we ready to face these situations? Can we cope up, and can we handle all these things, whatever we are facing in the form of these operations, right? So these are the few things. So we can say the changes, and we can see the changes in in the form of four quadrant. We can see the changes and impact of globalization on the equality and labor conditions, government, cultural community, right? So these are the things which we can realize, okay, how globalization is impacting regarding when we talk about the equality basis, economic conditions, assess of goods, price of goods and services, supply of goods and services, labor conditions, job opportunity, and labor productivity, working standards and health conditions, pension and unions, and employee relations. When we talk about the government, I will give you very excellent example. Many times we are doing something in the form of business. I will give you the example of the JP, Indian and local example. JP constructed a very excellent road in North India, right? That in the form of Taj Expressway. So JP construct the Taj Expressway. That time regime was different in UP, right? Then after regime changed and the another regime came in the power, they denied to start their highway, that was the Taj Expressway, right? So you can understand a businessman have invested huge capital in the form of Taj Expressway. Now you are not allowing that you continue and you can start the operations on your the movement of the vehicles on the Taj Expressway. So many times the government policies, they also influence the things, and many times the government policy, they don't allow the businessman to do something, right? So the government policies also impact the business operations in the time of globalization, right? So economic development, independence, uh, on trade and achieve and investment, and proliferation of NGOs. So these are the few things we can understand how government is impacting the thing business operations, right? Cultural and community, cross border ties and ethnic identity, mobility and rural life, right? Cross border ties. If we are comfortable with business concern and we have the borders with each other, now we can take the example of India and Pakistan. If we don't have a good relations, if we don't have a good relation, then obviously we will not like to be associated with each other in business concern also, right? So many times the culture and community, they are the part of India one time, but right now we feel we both are the enemies, right? And ethnic identity, Chinese, when we talk about the Chinese, one side they are trying to harm the India, but another side they have a great aspirations. They want to do business with us, right? So many times the cultural and community parameters, they are also impacting just because of the globalization. Uh, this I told you. Need of HR innovations. So because of these different challenges, and because of these challenges, uh, we see there is a need of innovations in HR. The What are the need to update our HR if we are in the international operations in the form of international human resource management, right? So what are the needs? The changing nature of workforce changing nature is one reason. That is why we should move towards the HR innovations. And changing nature of society, changing nature of workplaces, right? Changing nature of information technology. These are the few changes. Because of these changes, we have to need update and accommodate with the innovations in the field of HR, right? So this is the good HR practices contribute to three C's. If we are going to cope up with the issues with HR in the time of globalization, then there are three C's: culture, competence, and commitment. Culture, competence, and commitment. These three C. If a good HR practice contribute all these three C, then we can say that this is a excellent HR practice, and we can cope up with all the issues whatever we will face, right? So uh, to solve all these things, we can say there is a need of international human resource management. Earlier, we are saying the term human resource management, right? Then that time we don't have a vision. We don't have a vision to think broad. but right now we have a vision to think broad, otherwise we cannot survive, right? So international human resource management tells us if we can cope up with the MNC operations and transnational companies, parent companies, host companies, right? Means the operations when we are going HR, human resource practices globally, and whatever we are facing in the form of HR problems, if we are competent to cope up and manage the things, then we can say this is international human source management. Means we can do the operations internationally, and our human source is expertise and they have the capabilities to play throughout the globe, right? So and our human source is sufficient expertise to manage and cope up with the advanced technologies, and they can move with the throughout the globe, and they can cope up with the different culture, different ethnicity, different type of behavior of the human beings, and the movement from different countries, right? Then we can say there is a need of international human resource management. This is developed in the form of one type of updated human resource management that can cope up with the things which we are facing in present time because of the globalization, right? So trends and concepts in HRM to globalization in present time means they are the things these are the things which we have a need to think. So that is why we can cope up with the present scenario of the human source management in the time of globalization, right? specialized specialized applications tells us about the updated technology and the other things which we are going to adopt in our HR system, right? Is- there are there are many softwares and the technologies softwares as in our research we use the SPSS, but in company they use the SAP. SAP is one type of software. They handle all the things and have a record all the things whatever is happening in the form of production, in the form of finance, in the form of HR. So specialized applications in the form of softwares are available to handle the problems of HR. That is the specialized applications, right, that is used in HR. And ready and reducing manual efforts. If we are adopting the new technologies and we are cope up with the things in updated form, in the form of accepting the new things and new challenges, then we are saying we are reducing the manual efforts. Means everybody that is computerized, everybody that is we are going to solve the problems through technology, right? Earlier we are facing, right? So this is the another factor that we can say these are the concepts, right? And use of information technology, already I told the ICT, information and communication technology, and internet, they have given a big push up to the globalization, and frequently we are also using the ICT and other things in our HR also, right? And diversity in workforce, obviously earlier we feel uh, and even India is already so diverse country, and we are the peoples from different languages and different cultures here. So it is also one parameter here, we can say one concept. Diversity is accepted in the form of workforce, either we are in India or we are outside the India or we are working globally, right? And work life balance tells us this is the time of globalization. So that is why many times we are overloaded. Many times the nature of work is in of such type that we are not feeling uncomfortable. If we are not feeling comfortable, if we are feeling uh, uncomfortable, then we cannot give our best potential, right? So to give our best, it is highly needed. There should be the work life balance, right? So these are the use of technology in human source management. The first one is video conferencing for interviewing and interaction with the employees. Nowadays, the scenario has been changed. Earlier, we see interview means the physically you have to go there and present yourself, and they will ask you, and you have to present all the things whatever you have with you in the form of qualifications, skills, and abilities. But nowadays, video conferencing is one mode by which you can present yourself, and the employer will assess your abilities and qualities. That is why they will decide either you should be hired or not hired, right? So this is one type of technology nowadays presently adopted by the human resource management. Use of charter rooms, emails, instant messages in HR. So this is another utilization of uh, information technology in the field of HR. Online recruitment, use of social media, use of IT softwares in HRM. So these are the different technologies uh, we can say these are the different modes by which we can understand how technology is needed, and without technology it is not possible. And it is not possible in the field of human source management we can cope up with easily. This is the time of globalization, so that is why we should adopt and accept the technology, then we can cope up, otherwise there is a issue, right? So you realize earlier we have a different type of human resource, now we have a different type of human resource. Now we are more competent to face the challenges. So it is happening just because of the globalization, right? I would like to share one small, very small, I will take 5 more minutes. I would like to share one small empirical study with you that is connected by me, right? So uh, we can understand through this case very easily how the employees of an organization, they realize and feel that there is a need to update themselves, there is a need to accept the new policies, there is a need to make changes in HR policy and practices, there is a need to make the strategies in the field of HRM, right? So this is an empirical study in a distillery industry of UP, right? That was the broad objective of this study was to evaluate the current human source management system and challenges that have been brought about since 1991 in distillery industry of Uttar Pradesh, right? So there was a time in 1991 when Dr. Manmohan Singh was finance minister, and we adopt the policies of privatization, liberalization, and globalization, right? So that moved the axle of our economy. And I think that time, if that was not these policies were not adopted that time, then we faced a lots of problems nowadays also, right? So that was a time where we are going to accept the policies of privatization, liberalization, and globalization. So sub objectives of this study was to study the perception of employee about HRM before the global expansion. There were two type of units. Some have the global operations that time, and some have local operations only. So to study the perception of employee about HRM before global expansion, to study the perception of employee about HRM after the global expansion, and to study the relationship between the perception of employees before the global expansion and after the global expansion, right? So these are the broad objective and sub objective of this empirical study that was conducted in a distillery unit of UP, right? So research methodology was in this study. Two sets of questions. Questionnaires were structured in the order of collecting the data, and the primary data was collected from the respondents. They are the part of different distilleries, right? And section 1 of questionnaire that contains the demographic characteristics of the respondents, such as name, age, gender, qualification, and designation, department, organization, and total service length in the distillery industry. And second section of questionnaire that contains uh, 10 general statements about HR practices prior to 1991 and that was pre-globalization, we can say, and 18 general statements about HR practices after 1991. But I will share with you only two statements, so that is why we can understand what was the perception and feelings of employees in distilleries. They have the global operations as well as the local operations, right? So Likert scale used in this study, that is 1 2 3 4 5, not at all, rarely true, sometimes true, mostly true, and always true, right? So sampling method was, it was near about 316 respondents were selected for the study, and service length categorized into two categories, that is less than and equal to 22 years. They are called as new employees, and the employees they have service length of more than or equal to 23 years, they are categorized as the old employees, right? So this was the sampling method. This was the statement. This was the statement about the global expansions. Perception of employees about HRM before global expansion means the units of distillery units, they don't have global operations earlier. They are working locally, but right now they have the global operations also. So we are going to categorize into global and local units, right? So employees they are employees, they have given their statements in the form of always true, mostly true, sometimes true, and really true, and not at all true. These are the two categories, global and local, right? They have given their perception in the form of Likert scale, and this is represented here in the form of bar diagram, right? So you can see this is also depicted in different colors, right? So here we can see through this figure, second, average scores of employees perception about HR before the global expansion and local expansion. This is the average score of global units of employees of global units, and this is the score of local units, right? They have they have you can understand the differentiate. Local unit employees, they have also the opinion and they have perception about the globalization, but they have little perception and they are little know about the globalization and the impact of globalization, कि आप कैसे एचआर जो है क्या that is impacting because of the globalization. But those units, they have the global operation, they are little know more about the global operations, but not the difference is not so big. But there is another second statement, perception of employee about HRM after global expansion. Earlier they don't have a global expansion, now they have the global expansion, right? Now you can understand the same is about the global and local units. This is given in the form of always true, mostly true, sometimes true, and really true, not at all, depicted by different colors, right? And perception of this is the average 3.2 average scores of employee perception about HRM after global expansion. Right now you can see the difference and you can realize the differentiations between the units, employees from the global units and employees from the local unit. The difference is increased and there is 3.8 and 4.18. These are the average of different scores, right? So they are realizing now, because they are the part of global operations, so they are realizing globalization is impacting and they have a perception about HRM. There is a need to adopt the new policies, strategies, and the other innovations in the form in HRM, right? So that is why we can understand those who are the part of global operations, they are realizing this is the impact of globalization. But those who are they are the part of local organization, they are not going to realize the impact of globalization, or either they are realizing but they are lesser realizing the impact of globalization, right? So we can say through this study, whatever we achieved in the form of data, uh, the results depicts about this data and this little empirical study which I shared with you. Globalization has an impact on HR system in the global units. Earlier, I show you the graph here. Here you can realize they that is impacting. So that is why they are realizing, right? So, and there is a significant difference in perception between the employees of global organization and local organization. There is a significant difference in the perception between local and global units. Means there is a difference. We can see this difference in the form of bar diagram that is depicted on the basis of perception, on the basis of responses given by the respondents, right? HR policies and perception have been modified to match with those of the global distilleries as the global units have expanded their business in other countries and they compete as a global level. Means those distilleries, they are earlier working as locally, but right now they are trying to compete with the global distilleries. So that is why they should update and they should realize there is a need to update their HR policies and practices, right? So to achieve better business results, higher quality of human resource practices are adopted by the firm. So whatever globalization is impacting the HR factors and the other things in the field of human source, in the field of human source management, if we are, there are two terms. One is resistance to change, another one is acceptance to change. So if we are going to adopt the acceptance to change or to face the challenges of the globalization, then definitely that will be the best part of human source management. We should innovate ourselves, we should adopt the technology, we should update our HR practices. That is why we can face the challenges of globalization. So thank you very much. And if anybody have any query about my presentation, you are most welcome. And I will be very, I feel very happy. I feel very happy.
Sir, no questions
Yeah.
came. Your
Sir,
presentation was very fruitful, sir.
yeah,
Okay.
sir. Any if any query from the side of students or any query from the side of my
So, sir,
learned colleagues, then I am here to reply any query. That is that will be
sir, no questions came. Your presentation was very fruitful. Thank you very much, sir, because in a very short period of time, you have given
yeah.
us a good expert lecture
Sir,
on a
I
new
tried
and
my best. I tried my best to
interesting
share
topic
whatever.
for talk.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have presented an innovative presentation on a nice topic today. Okay, sir.
yeah,
We will
yeah.
continue to benefit in this manner and in
Yes,
person in the future as well as you also keep supporting us
yes,
also.
sir. Thank you
I
very
would
much, sir.
like
Thank you.
to
Thank
I
you
would
very much, sir.
like to take this opportunity.
Ji,
Thank
sir. Ji,
all the my faculty members, Dr. Dinesh Chavda,
ji,
Mr.
sir.
Vinit Varma, and
Ji, ji.
Dr. Anitaba Gohil of my department, because my faculty, that is, sir, every
Ji, sir.
program has their enthusiastic involvement. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so
Yes, sir.
thank you very much again on this occasion.
Mm.
University, I would like to
Sir, one
thanks.
more thing, sir, I would like to request you, if you have screenshots of if you one is attending audio also, video also. So if you have
Yeah,
pics,
sir. Sending
so
also.
please share with me. And
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
how many was attending online this presentation? You have data in your side.
Sir, within 1 days, I sending
Yeah.
video. Okay, sir.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay. So, sir,
Okay. Sir,
so
thank
far
you
the
very much, sir.
courtesy regarding the thank you on this
Ji,
occasion, University, I would
ji,
like to thanks the Vice-Chancellor and Registrar also.
ji,
Last,
sir.
again, thank you,
Ji.
my friends,
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Thank you
and
very much.
today's
All of you,
thank you
thanks a lot.
so very much, sir.
Ji,
Thank you
sir.
very much, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
sir. Namaskar,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Have a nice day.